She sat at the small corner table gripping her phone like it was the only thing keeping her from falling apart, her fingers slightly trembling as she checked the time for the fourth time in 2 minutes, the glow of the screen reflecting the quiet panic in her eyes, because in her purse, carefully zipped, carefully hidden, there were only 5 crumpled dollar bills and some loose coins. And she knew exactly what that meant in a restaurant where even the water felt expensive. Her name was Lily. 24, freshly graduated, buried under student loans, working 2 part-time jobs and still barely surviving. Yet tonight she had said yes to a blind date arranged by a coworker who insisted, "He's nice, and the place is just casual," a lie Lily realized the moment she stepped inside and saw white tablecloths, soft candlelight, and menus that might as well have been written in another language. Across the room, at a table that cost more than her monthly groceries, sat Daniel Wright, a man who looked calm on the outside but carried the quiet weight of 2 lives on his shoulders, one as the CEO of a multi-million-dollar logistics company, and the other as a single father who packed lunches, read bedtime stories, and still felt the ache of losing his wife 3 years ago. He wasn't supposed to be there either, not really, just killing time before heading home, but the moment he noticed Lily hesitating over the menu, her eyes darting between prices and the door like she was calculating an escape, something in him stilled. Lily ordered water, her voice polite but thin, and when the waiter walked away she exhaled slowly, already rehearsing the apology she would give her date when he arrived late. "Sorry, I don't feel well," because she couldn't let herself be humiliated by asking how much things cost, couldn't risk the moment when the bill came and her entire life showed up in numbers she couldn't pay. Minutes passed, then more, and her date never came, the chair across from her staying painfully empty while the quiet murmur of laughter and clinking glasses pressed in on her from every side, and Daniel watched all of it without meaning to, the way she pretended to text someone while clearly fighting tears, the way she straightened her posture as if dignity could be summoned on command, reminding him of nights when he'd sat alone pretending not to feel the stares after his wife's funeral. When the waiter returned to ask if she was ready to order, Lily's cheeks flushed, and she smiled too quickly, saying she was waiting for someone, and Daniel saw the exact second her confidence cracked. It was then that his phone buzzed with a message from his daughter. "Daddy, did you remember it's pajama story night?" And his chest tightened, because something about Lily's quiet struggle felt too familiar, too human to ignore. Lily finally stood, smoothing her dress, clearly preparing to leave before things got worse, but the waiter gently reminded her that the water had already been served, and she froze, calculating if $5 was enough to cover even that. Daniel didn't think, didn't plan, he simply stood, walked over, and said softly, "Excuse me, I think we might be waiting for the same person," and Lily looked up, startled, defensive, ready to say no, but his tone held no judgment, only kindness. He gestured to the empty chair at his table and added, "I've been stood up too." Happens more than people admit, and something about the honesty in his eyes made her hesitate, then nod, because staying felt easier than explaining, and so she sat across from a stranger who didn't ask intrusive questions, who ordered simple food without looking at prices, who spoke about his daughter and laughed gently when Lily confessed she worked double shifts and still felt like she was failing at adulthood. The conversation flowed, not flashy, not forced, but real, and for the first time that evening Lily forgot about the money, forgot about the $5 burning in her purse, forgot about the fear of being exposed, until the bill came, folded neatly in black leather, and panic rushed back so hard it nearly stole her breath. She reached for her bag instinctively, but Daniel placed his card down without ceremony, not as a gesture of power, but as one of respect, and when she protested, cheeks burning, he simply said, "Tonight wasn't what either of us planned. Let me at least make it a good memory." Outside, the cool night air felt like relief, and Lily finally confessed the truth, her voice barely above a whisper, about the $5, about the date who never showed, about how embarrassed she'd been, and Daniel didn't pity her, he admired her, told her that strength wasn't about how much money you had, but how you carried yourself when you had almost nothing. They exchanged numbers, not with promises or expectations, just a mutual understanding that something genuine had passed between them, and as Lily walked to the bus stop, $5 still untouched in her purse, she felt lighter than she had in months, because kindness had met her at her lowest without asking for anything in return. Weeks later, when Daniel invited her to a small cafe and showed up with his daughter, who immediately took Lily's hand like it was the most natural thing in the world, she realized that sometimes life doesn't change in big dramatic ways, but in quiet moments where someone sees you, really sees you, and chooses compassion over indifference. If this story touched your heart, reminded you of a moment when kindness changed everything, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, because stories like these aren't just entertainment, they're reminders that even on your poorest day, you are still worthy of love, dignity, and unexpected miracles.